So yeah, it's been a while. A lot of things have happened. Some good, some bad. Hang around, stay tuned. I'll be right back to tell you what's going on. I didn't do many videos during the summer months. In July, I had a heart attack. I ended up in the hospital. We got that all sorted. I'm on the right medication, and I seem to be pretty much back to normal after that. I'm not having any ongoing issues. We had an accident in the bus. A little box truck came around a curve on Highway 702 and popped our mirror, and he popped it so hard that it slapped back against the driver's window, broke the driver's window. I had swerved because I saw him coming at me. I had swerved, so I dropped a wheel off, which is a no-no. I know better than that. I mean, I should have just hit the guy head on. We were bigger than he was, you know. I mean, I should have just plowed him, but of course I cringed over, dropped a wheel off, ended up sliding in the ditch. We got out of the ditch. We stayed upright. We didn't have to call a wrecker to take us out of there, but I did knock the exhaust loose, and some more things underneath the bus got screwed up, and it's back in the garage again getting fixed one more time before we take it somewhere new. The big news is that we did buy the farm. It's been a long time coming. We were in Esperanza over near Turrialba for a long time. We thought we were going to buy a hectare over there and settle. And first one thing and then another, there was a problem with the survey that was on the seller to get sorted out, and he was having a heck of a time. And then there was a problem with the road, and that's on the municipality, and they just didn't care. There was a problem with a neighbor. A coffee farmer didn't really want anybody coming in. He'd planted his coffee plants like on the right of way of a public road, and then threatened anybody who disturbed his coffee plants. Well, he can't do that. But I'm not gonna fight him. You know, I came from too much conflict in Appalachia in the U.S. I know I'm not gonna go into a deal with something like that already going on, because he has ways of making our life miserable. So we just said, with all of this, we're just going to let the contract expire and move on. And the seller was fine with that. He got it. He was a good guy. He understood exactly. You know, we'd waited a long time on that property, but some things just aren't meant to be. So we looked probably almost another year. And guys, let me tell you something. If you're coming to Costa Rica and you're looking for land, you better watch these realtors. You better watch them. Now, I know some good realtors, so this is not a blanket statement. I'm not saying that they're all crooks. But we have seen land that was so overpriced that, I mean, surely there must have been oil under that ground somewhere. And what happens is that the Ticos will sell it to each other. Like they will sell just say they'll sell a hectare for, you know, 10 millions of colones, and I don't know, but I mean, it's let me back up and convert that to America speak. You know, maybe they would sell a 1 acre, which is not a hectare. A hectare is 2 acres, but just say they would sell 1 acre of land for $5,000 to another Tico. If they see someone from another country coming in, that $5,000 acre is suddenly going to become a $50,000 acre or a $100,000 acre. I have seen little eco quintas, little bitty acre or half acre parcels of land with nothing on it being offered for $250,000. Now, I know there are factors. I know there are locations. I know all of the things that go, but come on, people. And the gringos just keep paying this and just keep paying this and keep paying. So there is no incentive for the Ticos or the realtors to present with more reasonable price structure. So the real estate market here is going up and up and up. But let me tell you something, guys. If you're not in a hurry and you're willing to take your time, you can find your paradise for what it's worth and not for some overblown price. We bought, it's not quite 2.5 hectares, but it's over 5 acres of land. It has a river that borders on one side, a clean river that comes off the Miravalles volcano. The road to it is excellent. It's a dirt road, but it is excellent. You can take a little small car on it and do fine. It already has the electrical hookup. It has water. It has a house on it. Now this house is livable. It's livable. You can live in it, but it's not gringo standards. You know, this was a farming family, and they had lived in it for generations. The house is probably maybe almost close to 100 years old. I don't know, but it's an old house. It's an old home place. So there's some work to do on the house, but we got all of that. Now listen to me carefully, all right? More than 5 acres of land with water, year-round water on the property. It's flat land too, with a house on it for under $40,000 US. We paid 25 million colones for it. And of course that fluctuates. It's up and down with how the dollar and the colony balance out. But at the time that we bought that property, it was under $40,000 US. And the owner financed part of it to give us a little bit of breathing room so we would have some money to do some improvements and other things. So it was an excellent deal. We had an excellent attorney. We had a fantastic Tico real estate agent. He didn't go to school for it. He didn't have a license for it. He's just ethical. He worked through some pretty complicated problems that we had negotiating with the seller, who didn't quite understand. You know, they wanted a big amount of down payment going into their bank account. They didn't understand escrow. The real estate agent didn't completely understand escrow, but he listened to the attorney, and my attorney likes him. I mean, everybody got along in this situation. It was a very painless transaction. So it can be done. You can find property here. You don't have to pay these astronomical prices. I hope that if you're watching this video and you're thinking about buying property in Costa Rica, that you will take your time and that you will do your research and you will not overpay and not keep adding to this craziness. This little farm is outside of Bajagua, which is near Upala in the northern part of Costa Rica. It's 1,000 meters above sea level. From the road going to our farm, you can see Lake Nicaragua very clearly. It's in the distance, but you don't need binoculars. You look through a clearing in the trees and there's Lake Nicaragua spread out there, and it looks like the ocean. It's just this big body of water, and it's hard to grasp, especially for people like me, you know, who never traveled much before I was almost 50 years old, to look out and see Nicaragua. It's right there. It's beautiful, beautiful flat basin of land off of the Miravalles volcano. We are on the mountain. We're on the elevation next to the cone. Now you can't live on the cone of a volcano, of course, you can't. But from our pasture on the farm, you can see the cone of the Miravalles volcano. It doesn't look very high at that point because we're already way up there. The weather is nice. It's not as hot and humid as it is in other parts of the country. There are all kinds of animals, orapendula birds, there are toucans, there are sloths. There's a sloth tour about 20 minutes from our farm, just right there in Bajagua. All kinds of things. There are coyotes there, which is kind of not great. We saw one recently in the daylight that had mange. He looked like a chupacabra. He was all sick looking, and he's probably not long for this world, but it just showed coyotes are there, and which is a concern because we're going to have livestock and chickens and do the whole thing. Lots of fruit trees on that land. It's covered in mandarina trees. There's an avocado tree. There's banana and plantain trees. And of course, I've got all kind of seedling trees growing. I've got the camito trees. I've got memonchino trees, those little red fruits with the spines on them that you crack open and they're like a big grape, really good. I've got several of those trees growing. I've got a star fruit tree growing that I got from the lady that we were renting from until we could actually make the move. I have mango trees from the big mango tree that was in the rental property in Invu where we stayed for so long. So I have ginger growing, I have curcumin growing, I have coconut trees growing. They're all just waiting. Lemongrass, yes, I have lemongrass too. And I have the inch plant, which is, people call it the wandering Jew. I did find some. Hold on. So it may not look any different than the inch plant or wandering Jew that I have here in Costa Rica. This is the kind that brews pink. I've been looking for it and I found it. Not in Costa Rica. Hi, Susan. I had some help getting my inch plant here. I am going to brew lots of pink tea. I had to bring only a very, very small amount. Once it's rooting, once it gets established, I'm going to brew lots and lots of pink tea and show you all about that. But I'm tickled about this. I'm really tickled about this because it's pink. It brews the pink tea, and I've had some from this plant. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get some vegetables in the ground, every kind you can imagine. We are going to grow things on this farm. The soil is too arable. It's rich in volcanic. There's big volcanic rocks from the, I don't know, thousands, millions of years ago when Miravallis first blew its cone. The big rocks that came out, they've just littered all over the farm. And so the soil is rich and volcanic. The river running through is just, the first time I walked down to the river with Charlie, the realtor, and Mo, our friend who's staying with us from Ireland for a little while, I had not seen the river. Michelle had seen it, I had not. I walked down, and when I saw how beautiful it was, I cried. Now, the last video I posted, I was in the States, but Paige was still with us, my dog, my black and white spotted dog that loved to swim so much. You've seen her on our videos. Paige passed away on September the 24th. And when I see that river and I look at it, all I can think is Paige will never get to swim here with me. And so I was crying. I was crying not only because of Paige, but because it was so beautiful. It is going to be a sanctuary for us because when you go down into that river, on our side, it's sort of flat, but on the other side, there's a big bank where it's eroded the mountain out for so many years. It's just like your own, it's like your own cathedral. And the water is fast enough to create the energy that heals muscles and, you know, water therapy and that. And you can see that Charlie and I dunked in it, and we got wet and had to ride wet all the way. I had to ride wet all the way back to La Fortuna, but that's okay. But it's not fast enough current that it's going to take anybody downstream and drown you. I think even it's so high on the mountain and it's so near the source that even heavy rains, of course, they're going to make it more forceful. But it's not like some of these rivers that have floodwaters miles up from a storm that is just miles away and come rushing down. This is too close to the source, and it's very pure. We're not going to be drinking straight out of the river. There are aquifers all over the land where water just bubbles up out of the land and flows. Those springs are where we will take our water from when we go off grid. Right now, the public water is spring fed. They don't treat it. It just comes right out of the ground, from under the ground. It's pure water. I'm sure they test it. I hope they test it. But at some point, we're going to go off grid and have our own water. And it's, you know, there's just no end to the source of water on this property. It's amazing how much it is. So we have big plans. The farmhouse. The interesting thing about this property for us was that we actually weren't looking for a house. we were looking for land, and this just happened to have a house on it, so it's a bonus. But here's just a little education in Tico logic for folks wanting to buy property here. They took the kitchen sink and broke the pipe, and the water is just flooding everywhere. Because I guess when you move, you take out the installed plumbing and take it. I'm surprised they actually left the toilet. We have no complaints. I have zero complaints about all of this. Oh, that's cool paint on that door. Wow, I kind of like that. We have no complaints because, number one, this is concrete and cement. It's not going to hurt anything, and any of the wood, it's coming out anyway because we're going to, eventually redo all of that. So there's no damage, and it doesn't run up the water bill because of the way it's set up here. So there's no complaints because, we didn't even plan on having a house. Everything is just extra for us. Extra stuff to, wood to make the bus, and we're going to have to take out this floor and put a subfloor down and redo it, and all of that's perfect for the bus. So it's a good deal. It's a win-win for us either way. It's all extra. It's all a bonus. And even the extra water is a bonus. They just broke it. I mean, they just ripped the pipe off and just broke it. But that's okay. We will deal with it. Oh, there's a nice little collection of Imperial bottles down here. Very interesting. You get money back when you take it and buy another one. That's cool. See, that balances out. It all balances out. The farmhouse, eventually we would like to restore it, renovate it and restore it, and use it as an Airbnb. We love living on the bus. We're going to work on the bus too. The bus has not been changed much in a year. We've been too busy fixing it and breaking it and fixing it and breaking it and fixing it again. So once we get past all that nonsense, then we're going to start working on the inside. So we'll have some tiny house videos to show everybody. Right now we're just kind of going to chill for a little while. We're going to enjoy the land and then, get the plants growing, get our living space arranged in such a way that we have peace and that we are able to take a break and not be pressed and pushed all the time, tension, pressure, motorcycles going by at all hours of the night in these neighborhoods. We don't have to worry about the cats and dogs running out and getting hit by cars speeding by and all of these things. Just a while to breathe and to relax and catch our breath. And then we're going to start with some projects. We're going to have some interesting projects. We're going to look at off-grid electricity production. We're going to look at off-grid water purification. We're going to look at growing some things. There's some interesting things that we can grow now in Costa Rica. We'll keep you posted on that. Renovating the house, fixing the bus, all the animals. We want a milk cow. We want chickens. We want the whole thing. Stay tuned because life on the farm is about to get really interesting. Before I go, I do want to say another word about Paige. I have had Paige since 2013. She was a rescue from Mercer County Animal Shelter in West Virginia. The shelter director, she was the rescue director at that time. She had not yet been promoted. And she called me or messaged me, I think it was an email or a Facebook message, and she said, well, I have these 9 feral puppies and I don't know what I'm going to do with them. So another rescue and me teamed up. They took part of them and I took part of them, and Paige was in the part that came to me. And with Paige and me, it was instant. We were instant soulmates, instantly bonded. I knew from the moment she made eye contact with me that was going to be my forever dog. And she has traveled. Paige traveled more than most humans travel. She's been to places in the U.S. She's been to New York City, Times Square. She's been to Niagara Falls. She's seen the Statue of Liberty. She traveled to Florida. She's been to the beach. She's been to the beach on South Carolina. Then she got her little black and white polka dotted behind on an airplane and flew to France. So she's seen the Eiffel Tower. She's toured all of France. She's seen the things. She's been to England. She lived for 6 months in England on the English Channel in Eastbourne. She walked to Beachy Head. She's seen the chalk cliffs. She's seen it all. She's seen Africa. She flew with us to Morocco. We spent a year in Morocco. Paige rode a boat for the first time in Morocco. She had a full, rich life. But I had noticed that she was having issues with a dry cough. It wasn't heartworm. It wasn't anything we used preventative. I did have her seen by a vet. She did have a dysrhythmia. She had an irregular heartbeat and was slowly going into heart failure. But I thought I'd have more time with her. While I was in the U.S. during this last border run, Michelle found her passed away on the bus. He left her there for a while because, you know, when you find it's just such a shock, you just can't. You know, a few hours later, he went back and he pulled the blanket back and there was blood coming out of her nose and mouth, which told me instantly that my suspicion was correct. She had a pulmonary embolism. She had a clot in her lung from the heart failure, and that's the thrombosis in the lungs is fairly common with heart failure. And the way she went, the way she chose to go, made sure that I could never wrestle with guilt, because a pulmonary embolism in an animal is fatal almost all the time. Even if they're in a vet clinic with a vet, what can you do for that? I mean, what can you do for it? Humans can be saved sometimes because of the extremely advanced technology in the hospital. A PE or pulmonary embolism is not always fatal, but in a dog, it's when they have that, there's nothing you can do. So I don't have guilt for, oh, what if I was there? I might have could have saved her. No, I know that I couldn't have. And I would have had to watch her suffer and struggle for that last breath. And I think she spared me that. But she's buried here near La Fortuna under a star fruit tree. I planted some of the inchplant or wandering Jew on her grave because it's a heart remedy. You can make a tea and it's good for the heart. And she was such a heart dog that it just seemed fitting. It's going to be hard to leave when we go to the farm and leave her here and know that she can never see the farm. But Paige wouldn't want us to think that way. She would want us to move on. She would want me to find another doggy to help. I know she would. She can't be replaced, but I have a feeling she's scouting the animals here in Costa Rica, saying who needs my mommy, because my mommy needs them. And we'll probably have an update about that soon. Just my spidey senses are tingling, telling me that, you know, she's not going to let me be alone for long. The other dogs are missing her. I mean, it's been a really sad time. But rest in peace, Paige. Mommy loves you, and we'll see you again soon. So everybody else, have a wonderful day. Pura vida. Enjoy the sun or the snow or whatever you're getting where you live. And we will catch up with you very soon.
You got that too?
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more of our journey here in Costa Rica, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll know when we upload something new. By all means, talk to us in the comments. We love hearing from you.